Welcome, Wolfpack, to the Walk and Talk with yours truly, Andy, the Sigma Prepper. So yes, it is the 29th of April 2023. What a week it has been for you and me. So we're out with Hugo doing our Walk and Talk as we do. Thank you so much for catching up with us. We're going to be got through quite a few things today. First up though, don't miss on Thursday, which is the 4th of May.
May the 4th be with you.
On the 4th of May, we're going to be having a special SHTF Scenarios show, Security and Defences when it hits the fan, right? And this is specific to like the homesteading side of stuff. So bugging out obviously is a different type of a challenge from a security point of view. So we've got that coming up on Thursday. There's about 45 slides or something's worth of information there. So first up then we had Sunday, where I had a special live report for the UK alert system that they launched on the 23rd of April. That was on the Sunday. And I did a special live show. Thank you to everybody who showed up for that. I was streaming it live as it didn't happen. And of course, that was part of the controversy throughout that whole thing was some people got reports, some people got alerts, some people didn't get alerts. Entire networks didn't get alerts, and some people got alerts at midnight. I think we can call that an epic fail. Lots of things come to light since then, obviously, with the company that was employed to even create that system. Happens to be owned by you-know-who. Sunak's wife happens to own, or her father owns the business that actually rolled all that out. That gives you a heads up as to the why and the when, I guess. Also this week we had the Sudanese crisis ongoing, and it still is now. In fact, as I make this video now, that whole ceasefire seems to be completely unraveling. I don't know, I think that's going to become something more than it already is. I wasn't sure if that was going to start waning away, or whether it was just to get in the way of the Russian port that they were planning on building there in Sudan, which is a good reason why they didn't want things being too settled there in Sudan, because of course, you know, they don't want Russia getting their port in there, which they've already been given their go-ahead by the Sudanese government. So we talked about that as well. So like I say, that's an ongoing thing, and I don't expect it to go away anytime soon. We're going to watch out in the news this following week and see what develops from that. But Hugo wants to go that way, but we're not going that way. Come on, Hugo, this way. Good boy. Joe, this is one of the few walks that I go on with Hugo where there isn't actually a particular tree that I hug on this walk. There is actually, it might be further on, but this is quite a nice specimen. I guarantee this bit he's going to want to go across the train track. Would you like to go across the train track, Hugo? Would you like to get in the train track? I don't think you're going to fit through there, mister. I'm not sure you're going to fit through the gap. Since Hugo insists, I guess we should go across the train track. So come on then, Hugo. Don't mess around. Don't spend too long. We wouldn't want to be completely and utterly got by a train. Ah! Next was the Tucker Carlson story, where he's left Fox, or Fox has fired him. Depending on which reports you read. Either way, the reports I read said that Rupert Murdoch, who's the owner of the network, he really doesn't like anyone talking about any religious stuff. Tucker Carlson had made a few references to some biblical stuff, and that was enough for him to be riled. And and that was the end of that, really. I think it's probably a litany of stuff. Obviously, there's been the Dominion lawsuit and things, which probably hasn't helped. And he's been quite outspoken about other things. But we'll see. We'll have to watch this space. There's lots of people who want to employ him. OAN News, Russia Today, they've all said they're up for talking to him in negotiations. But he's still wrapped up in an existing contract with Fox News. I don't think they're going to let him out of that. They're going to pay him to finish out his contract term to stop him going anywhere else. And as if that wasn't enough, then you had the Don Lemon shenanigans, where he got into a right old lefty rant. I don't even know what you call it. Racist rant with some guy of Indian descent. And he was like having a debate with him on some breakfast show that Don Lemon had already been downgraded to previously for his craziness, his crazy wokeness. And he starts going on about a lot of racist stuff and, you know, just being outrageously supportive of things that you shouldn't really support, which don't add up to history or anything like that. And to the point where his producer was shouting in his ear, probably, you know, stop it, just carry on with the script, stop getting into your own little personal racist rants, right? That's what they would have been saying to him in his earpiece. And Don Lemon actually took his earpiece out of his ear. You can see on the video, he took his earpiece out of his ear so he couldn't even hear the producer shouting in his ear. That's bad news, man. So that was it, fired on the spot. And rightfully so. It's a shame because BuzzFeed's going out of business because they've been sued so many times for all their lies. If BuzzFeed could actually survive, I'm sure they'd have Don Lemon in an absolute heartbeat. Absolute heartbeat. Another interesting news story this week was the iSpace efforts, the Hakuto R, which is the private moon landing, the first ever private business trying to land a craft on the moon, which was interesting. It made it to the moon, apparently. We were looking at the images and seeing if we thought they looked realistic or not. I don't know what you'd call it, but you know, there was a lot of things that didn't seem to look like they added up and things. And we were asking a lot of important questions about, you know, why haven't we got a camera on the moon already that we can stream 4K 24/7? If they reckon they can get all this stuff up there, if a private company can get their own little spacecraft, at least up to as far as the moon, they may not have landed it successfully. Then with the crazy, crazy budget that NASA has, I don't know how many millions a day it is. $50 million a day or something ludicrous, I think NASA gets to spend on toys. And they can't even get us a streaming webcam on the moon, checking out Earth. So, you know, we were asking, is there a reason why? And more importantly, we're asking a question as well on the poll, the live poll we like to do. We're asking a question, what are the chances we've been to the moon, I think was the question. And basically one of the answers was no, never, not even rovers or robots. Another possible answer was maybe just rovers and robots have been to the moon, nothing else. You go, calm down. And then one of the options was, yeah, several times we've been to the moon, you know, kind of like the same as what they tell us on the TV, just like they say. And one of the answers was, as far as, in fact, I think we've got cities up there on the moon, right? The winning answer, it was very close between two, right? There was the 46% was the winner, said that they thought that maybe only rovers and robots had been on the moon, but nothing else, no humans or anything like that. And then 42% of the poll was going for nothing at all, not even robots. So that's how much faith the general population has in NASA and the $50 million a day or whatever it is they get to spend on toys. Clearly, not the right toys, eh? Not the right toys. While we're talking about space, obviously the SpaceX Starship launch happened last week, but just to give you a quick update on that, we watched that fail, and obviously it was a successful launch, but it just kind of went pop at the top of it. But I was looking today, actually, I did a bit of research and to see, you know, sort of any reports that have come out since to see what happened. And I'll tell you what, I found some pretty awesome footage showing some of the massive chunks of concrete that were being flung up in the air from those rocket boosters, those Raptor 2 engines on the SpaceX. The Raptor 2 engines are about 230 tons of thrust each, right? The Raptor 1's about 185 tons of thrust. These are about 230 tons of thrust, right? So that's like 230 tons of force pushing down from one engine, and there's 33 of those Raptor 2 engines. Yeah, you go this way. There's 33 of those Raptor engines on that SpaceX vehicle, right? 33 of them pushing out 200 and something tons each. So the force blasting down on the launch pad was enough to be launching massive chunks of concrete, like significant distances, right? And you can see by the state of the launch pad now, afterwards, now, you know, the dust has settled, right? Everything is dented. There's just dents on everything. It's like, you can tell what's happened is a few of those chunks of concrete just blasting back up from the floor, just chunks of concrete just flying up into the engines, into those Raptor 2s, because there was about 5 in the end that failed out of the 33, leaving 28 sustaining the thrust, which was enough for lift. But I think what happened was it did like 2 loops. It was looping, and usually like 10 degrees offset against the, you know, for things like the aerodynamics, the forces are so high, you can't be going side on. This thing did 2 loops and didn't fall apart. So fair play to Elon to make a spaceship. It's not a spaceship, but to make a rocket that can handle going sideways 2 loops before it self-destructed itself is quite impressive. But I think what had happened was that some of the concrete chunks, when they flew up into the engines, they also damaged the maneuverability mechanisms that actually, you know, the thrust is directable. It's like vectoring thrust vectoring. And I think the mechanisms that control the thrust vectoring failed, which obviously meant it lost stability, went sideways, and we saw what happened after that. Some sad news this week then with Jerry Springer passing away at the age of 79. Fair play to him. Super dude. Big fan growing up. Big part of my childhood watching Jerry Springer show. Jerry. Classic. So yeah, respect going out to Mr. Jerry Springer. So we paid him a bit of a tribute. Showed some of the clips of the gnarly craziness going on over in the Jerry camp. Sad news, but 79, not too bad. Bye-bye, Jerry Springer. Thank you for the time you gave us. Don't forget, you got to get yourself out there and hug a tree. I strongly recommend an oak tree. Don't forget, the little nut that held its ground is today's the almighty oak tree. Also, we had that train derailment in Wisconsin, Mississippi, which is, yet another train derailment. This time it was with paint and lithium, which I found out yesterday. So just to give you an update on that, it was actually carrying paint and lithium and fell into the river. There's no way it's a coincidence at this point, as we were discussing at the time, right? Because that many train derailments or that number of sort of hazardous material catastrophe type level stuff is just not normal, right? And the food supply chain's already under such an attack. We've already got a major issue with our supply chains as it is, so we don't need any more chinks on the armor. And every train derailment is infrastructural problems, it's, supply problems. And just while the investigations are ongoing, it causes, all sorts of delays with other shipments that are waiting. Yeah, and the cascade down the line is yet more for us to feel. So we need to keep our preparedness levels as all-time high. I mean, it's all happening now. Just as Tia said last week, was it the week before, the POLYCRISIS, just a massive crises all compounding against each other. And, there's going to be nowhere to run. This is the problem. So we're going to have to find ways of riding it out comfortably. So the other thing that I think is a bit worrying at the moment, as usual, is the economic situation. And I think with the stores closing the way they are, and I think some of the Walmart stores have had talking like tens of billions of dollars of thefts, right? So obviously it's just not economically viable to stay open in a lot of these cities, right? But this is just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, every store that closes is a bunch of staff members that are made redundant, lose their jobs. And with the rate that the world is de-dollarizing at the moment, and however much people don't want to believe it is happening, right? I mean, there's so many trade deals being done in the Chinese yuan now, bypassing the dollar altogether. And don't forget, every country that bypasses the dollar with their trade deals is several $100 million or so worth of dollars that the country doesn't need in their bank accounts anymore. So they end up flooding back to America's shores, right? And you end up with such hyperinflation that you're talking like Zimbabwe levels inflation. There's no avoiding it, right? Now, these other countries have got other currencies to flee to, like the yuan and things like this, right? Whereas America hasn't really, because the minute they adopt some other country's currency, that's like accepting that you are no longer the world global reserve currency anymore. And that's going to spell doom, right? Because the only reason the West has been able to do what we've been able to do in the way that we've been able to live our lives the way we've been able to live our lives is solely because of the petrodollar, because of the dollar being the global reserve currency. It's given us an awful lot of wealth, an awful lot of power to throw around. And those times are coming to an end, right? And it's not going to be pretty for us, right? The world sees what's happening, right? The world knows what we've been up to, what we are up to, what our real financial situation is like in our countries. All the other countries are watching, what we're up to. And they're just saying no, right? They're making their own system that's going to end up being better than ours, right? And it is a big threat. And it's not going to be something that's going to be in 2030. This is something that's going to be very, very soon. It's already in play now, So this is going to be becoming more and more of a thing you're going to start hearing about in the news. No doubt Tia will have something to say about that this week as well. Week 18 coming up on Monday, don't forget, so don't miss that. That's going to be an interesting one. We'll see what she comes up with. But yeah, this is big thing going on, ongoing all the time. Don't lose sight of it, I did that whole video about how to survive the economic crisis and stuff, right? During the SHTF, and there's loads of nuggets of information in there. Precious metals was a big vote for what people wanted to flee to and so on. So Do go and watch that if you've missed it, or if you're new to the channel. And more importantly, don't forget then on the 4th of May...
May the Force be with you.
On the 4th of May, which is Thursday, I have the SHTF Scenarios show coming to you, which is going to be Security and Defences when SHTF. Security and Defences when SHTF. And this is specific, as I said, to homesteading, security and defences and things, right, and protection. So it's a really important show. Don't miss it. That's going to be on Thursday, the 4th of May. And so do subscribe if you haven't done already, and you won't miss it. And of course, get yourself on the Discord server, because if I put an announcement on there, you'll get a notification as well, just in case YouTube doesn't give you one. So definitely don't miss that. It should be a good one. I put a lot of work into it. Packed full of information. Hugo there digging around. What are you doing, mister? What are you doing? He's having a good time. I hope you've had a good time. Thank you very much for joining me on this walk and talk. Please catch up with the rest of the videos. I look forward to catching up with you during the week. Week 18 coming up. So, from me and Hugo and everyone here at Super Pepper, love, peace and progress to the pack.